Hi, let's build software. In today's video, we're building something using Qt Creator and C++. Here are the following requirements. Firstly, I need to go back to grade 1 and learn how to spell requirements. So our requirements are as follows. Some basic programming knowledge. And when I say basic programming knowledge, what I mean is you should know your fundamentals, your variables, your loops, your conditionals, your functions, your classes, irrespective of the language. Next, we should know, or it would be good to know, C++. But what I am doing here can also be replicated in Python. So if you know Python, that's also great. Following which, Qt Creator. Again, it is available in Python, and it would be much easier to use if you were to implement it using Python. There are a few more things, such as knowing your anti-design patterns and your recommended design patterns, but if you don't, that is completely okay. And here we go. Here are our requirements. Basic programming knowledge, in any language, C++ preferred, but Python will also work great. Qt Creator, which will be easier to implement if you do use Python. All you would have to do is say import pyqt5, pyqt6, etc. The purpose of this video is to just show you that we should focus on building instead of just going over, say, lead code problems. We are not building one software, but actually 3. Clearly, this video should be much longer. So I made the decision to break it up into parts, starting with requirements and documentation specification. Now, thankfully, both of the documentation and requirements come straight from the assignment that required me to build these softwares. Also, I was supposed to use the build system called CMake. Did I? Not at all. I used much preferred QMake. Now, let us go through it on the whiteboard. So this should be clear that this is software 1. Software 1, or should I say the first build? The first build. Actually, that's also not true. This is actually the second build. The first build is a video I did a while ago. Okay. Starting with software 2, it is an extension of a project I built over a month ago. Let me go ahead and see if I can find that video and just see if I can grab a link or just give you the title of it. Let's go ahead, and it is called Complete Beginner Guide to Cross-Platform GUI Development in C++. So yeah, 1 month ago. This project is an extension of that prior project. We have to simply extend the behavior such that it implements the reflective programming pattern, also called the Metaobject pattern in Qt. As you can see here, I have 2 UML diagrams, and let us go over it. Starting on the left, I have a class called Software Review, which under its private section starts off with saying implement QProcess. If you aren't familiar with what that is, don't worry about that for now. We next have 3 variables, a QString called mSoftwareName, a QDate called mReviewDate, and a Boolean called isRecommended. In our public scope, we have 3, 6, 7 functions. Software review, our constructor. Software name to get back the software name. Set software name, which sets the software name. And we repeat this pattern with 2 more getters and 2 more setters. Looking at our next class, we have a class called Software Review Dialog. In its private section, we have a lot more data. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It appears to be 8 members. 2 Q labels, a name label and a date label. A Q date edit called date edit. A Q push button called add. A Q push button called display. This is wrong. This should not be here. That doesn't need to be here. Okay. And then we have another queue push button called recommend, and a queue list consisting of software review called reviews. In the public scope, we notice we have 3 functions, our constructor and 2 slot functions. This will allow us to implement the signal and slot functionality, or should I say take advantage of the signal slot functionality in Qt. We also notice we have a relationship indicated by the solid line followed by this diamond, and the clean closure star and 1. The way we read this is as follows. We say that's the we say that software review dialog contains a queue list which consists of one to many software reviews. We say one, actually it's not one or many, it's 0 or many, and we take that from using this. We refer to it as clean closure, K-L-E-E-N-E, where the star represents 0 to infinity. So our software review dialog, one instance of it contains 0 or many software reviews. Where are those software reviews residing? They are residing within the reviews private member, which is a queue list. Before we move to the actual implementation, let us look at the intended outcome. Let me go here, and this should be it. Yep. There we go. I have no idea why it didn't pop up, but here it is. Let's go to enter software and let's go something like WhatsApp. And we'll keep the date the same, and I will recommend, and then I'll go to add, and then I will go to display. And this is what we want. We want software, data review, and recommend. Although, because we are implementing reflection, we do not want this display list. We do not want this. We need to use runtime. We need to make our class runtime aware and use queue process. So let's close all of this and come here. Wait, let me go back and close all of these as well. All right. Now we move to the implementation. We begin by creating a new project. It'll be a console application because I want to print out, or should I say write out to the console. Let me look around and go to desktop, and I'm going to go to YouTube videos. Let me create a new project folder, and let's call it Qt projects. Okay. As for the name, let me think. Software review dialog. Okay. Let's go into our project file and we will add something. Qt plus equal widgets, because we will be taking advantage or using widgets. I don't need a Q core, I need a Q application. And all of that I can leave the same. Next, the first thing we will do is we will build our software review class. I will come here on sources, I will click add new C++ header file, and it is called go cancel actually, add new C++ class called software review. There we go. And its base class will be QObject. Next, finish. Okay. Qt has some helpful resources, and it was able to create for us a header and implementation file, as we can see on screen right now. The first thing we'll do is do our necessary includes, so qstring, and include qdate. Next, the most simplest thing I can do is just add the private variables. In this case, there are a qstring, call m_software name. And now that I think about it, I don't know why I'm narrating everything I do. You can just watch. RECOMMENDED. Recommended. All right. Next. Just because I'm omitting the word get and set, that does not change the fact that these methods are simply getters and setters to return the data and set the data. I'm just checking up on something really quick. Okay, there we go. All good. Okay, so we have the Qt object macro up here. There's a few more macros we need to include. I'm a little confused if it's called process or property. The property system. All right, okay, it's Qt property, Q property. All right. Next, I will go here. Okay, now let's get serious. What we now need to do is introduce Q property. This way, our class called software review will be made aware of its own contents at runtime. And through this, by implementing reflective programming, we can allow it to access its members without using a toString function. Software name and a write called set software name. I'm not calling a function. There we go. It takes three properties: a variable, a means to read that variable, and a means to write that variable. Also, I should not have a end statement there. The next one, following the same pattern, it'll be a QDate, a name of review date. Now, notice this is wrong. The names are not a one-to-one correspondence. Where it is software name, I'm prepending it with M underscore followed by the name. So review date, the name is M underscore review date. And the reason why I'm doing that is we are not allowed to use a one-to-one naming scheme. And then finally is recommend and write set is recommend. All right. And that should be all for the header file. I will now move into my implementation file. And as for the constructor, this is it. I need not do anything else. ctor constructor. QString software review, and it is called software name, and I need to shut up. Let's build and test. I do not want to do that. Alright, it seemed to have built successfully. Let's just do a run. Okay, great. No issues so far. Let's go back to our whiteboard. We have successfully implemented, so we have successfully implemented software review. We now focus our attention onto software review dialog. Let's go back and add new class, and it will be called software review dialog. So software review. Its base class is Q dialog. There we go. softwarereviewdialog. Software review dialog. Next. Okay. Let's go to software review dialog. In public slots, forward declarations allow your code to be compiled slightly faster. So if you know you're going to be using multiple includes, convert them to forward declarations, and it may speed up your compile time. Let's talk about some anti-patterns. Are you aware? Are you aware of what the God function is? You think about that while I drink some tea. A God function is a function that should not be created because its creation leads to it taking more responsibility than it should. An example of this is, say we have a simple add function which takes in two parameters. And let's call those parameters x and y. Clearly, the only purpose of the function should be return the sum of x plus y. But instead, you as a developer, you also have the function ask the user for input. So now the user function, the add function does two things. It asks the user for function and then returns the sum of those inputs. But let's say you want to extend it. Let's say now it also prints out a message to the console stating to the user, only add input as integers. It now does three things. It adds two numbers, it asks the user for input, and prior to that, it states something. As you can see, the scope of our function has grown out of proportion. Functions should be set to do minimal things. If we want more things, then simply create another function. Do not have all the responsibility done by one function. If you do, you end up creating an object called God function. There is another anti-pattern, and it is called, well, I don't know that formal name, but simply called copy-paste programming. Don't do it. If you're not sure what code does, do not copy and paste it. Let's talk about another anti-pattern. I should only have two buttons, right? Another anti-pattern. Say you are writing some function. Let's call it function. Let's call it function add software review, the one that I'm creating here. Let's say you have been asked to create a software review dialog and output software reviews. and you choose to opt to write your own add software review function. This anti-pattern states the following. If in the documentation and the API there exists a better, more comprehensive function, you rather use that than build your own. Now this one is quite annoying. First of all, it's quite difficult to know if a function exists in an API or a library. Simply put, even you cannot spend all your time researching. Also, it's a good thing to learn by experimenting and building your own functions. Okay. We should have everything. We have a name label, a date label, a line edit, a date edit, 2 buttons, a recommend checkbox, and a queue list consisting of reviews. Alright, that should be great. We'll now move on to the implementation. What are some patterns in programming that are pushed, or should I say, wanted? For one, there's the reflection pattern, which allows a class to find out about its own nature during runtime, such as the one we are building now. There is also the model view controller pattern. This allows a separation of data, how that data is represented, how the data is edited. Date edit. There's also a few more wanted design patterns, such as clean code. There's such thing called DRY, or do not repeat yourself. There's a general thing called KISS, or keep it simple, stupid. That's not something in programming, just generally. Let's now include 2 means for us to create a layout. Okay. Okay, first thing we'll do is set up our widgets. Because this is something I did in the last video, I will not bore you by going over it again. So I will just come down here and I will copy these. And I will paste these. If you aren't sure how I got these, remember the video I was talking about earlier, the GUI full development for beginners. I go over everything there, so there's no need to rehash the past. We will next do our signal and slots. So connect the add button, the signal that it emits called clicked. The responder should be this with the slot of add software review. You'll do another called display. The signal that it emits called clicked, and the slot of display list. Great. Again, the layouts have all been done before, so I will again not bother you with that. And that creates our dialog. Now, our responsibility is to write the two signals, slots. Software review, no, software review dialog. Add software review. And QString. Let's call it text, which is equal to line edit dot text. I'll grab the text from the line edit. If not text, that's wrong. If not text dot is empty, in that case I'll do something, else I'll do something else. There we go. And again, just like in our last video, everything is the same. Save that. Now we come to the meat and potatoes. Software review dialog. Call this playlist. If reviews is empty, so if that queue list is empty, in that case we will do a queue message box warning. We'll bind it to this as parent and we'll say no. As the title, and a description we'll say add a software we don't need to do an else, because here we'll actually do a return. We return nothing. A simple for loop for I equal to 0, I is less than reviews dot size plus plus I. Which is review dot Metaobject property count. Remember we created a queue property? Yep. For j equal to 1. And we will grab the property at position j. We'll create a const char name meta object, meta property. Dot name. And then Q variant, because we aren't sure what type we are getting, which is equal to review dot property, and we pass in the variable of name. Then finally we do a qdebug qstring, which gratefully can take parameters 1 and 2.arg name.arg value to string. And we'll also do a nice end line. Now let's save and let's build and see. Okay, this was not declared in the scope. this, okay. And J was not declared. Okay. And J. Cool, that all worked out. Let's go into our main C++ file and let's include software review dialog. And I'll create an instance of it. So software review dialog, and I'll just call it dialog, which is new software review dialog, and dialog.show. Control V, Control R. All right. WhatsApp, I recommend it, yes. Twitter, aka X, do I recommend it? Nope. Let's go with Epic Games. I'll also change the date for this one. Let's lie and say I did a much earlier review. I recommended it. Add, and finally display. And there we go. Software name WhatsApp, review date is recommended. Software name, review date is recommended. Software name, review date, and is recommended. And that was it. A very quick build. And that is the end of this video.